Hello, Suns fans. This is Suns Latest. I am Rich Rubin. We have way too much to cover today, but I'm happy to do it. So we will start with our autograph of the day from the 1977 Suns basketball. This is Ira Terrell. Do you remember him? 6'8", about 200 pounds. Kind of a scrub player, 74, 75, 76-ish. He did get 28 in one game, and I always thought he was underrated and undervalued. But I got that autograph on that ball at Humpty Dumpty Restaurant, Humpty Dumpty Coffee Shop in Phoenix, which I think was on Central. Could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Back in the day, because I carried that ball with me everywhere I went, because you never knew when you'd run into a Phoenix Suns player. And I carried a Sharpie with me. A little bit obsessed as a kid, but Ira Terrell with the ball. Okay, so we just have some news today to start. Last May, quiet move, relatively quiet move. Suns named Brian Gregory, a former South Florida University basketball coach, former teammate of David Robinson at Navy in 85 and 86, and previously the Suns' vice president of player programming. That's a weird title. As their new GM, he replaced the polarizing James Jones. James Jones no longer with the Suns. Contract expired at the beginning of July, and he's gone. Now the NBA's executive vice president, head of basketball operations. I like James Jones. I know there are people that thought he didn't know what he was doing. As I said, he was polarizing. People went back and forth with if they loved him or they really didn't like him. That just happened quietly. I didn't think a big stink needed to be made about it. It's not always exciting when a team gets a new GM until the GM starts doing something. So we'll see. But so far so good. We'll see. It's a lot of wait and see. Also, really quick, as of today, Warriors forward, who the Suns have been interested in, Jonathan Kuminga, still declining contract terms with the Warriors. Same as before, wants a bigger role. Coach Steve Kerr cannot find a place for him in the system with Steph, Dre, and Jimmy Buckets. And when those three are healthy, you don't mess with that system. Those three, even at that advanced age, they can beat anybody on any given night, and they proved it last year until they all started getting injured. And we're going to get to injured and how the season and the playoff goes. So there's more to it, but it keeps coming back to that. Kuminga wants a bigger role. He wants to start. He wants this. He wants that. And the Warriors are like, we'll give you this. We'll give you that. And his people are like, nah, we'll take this. We'll take that. It's never going to get resolved, and they have until October 1st to make a freaking decision. Somebody commented today about the Oso Kuminga situation. There isn't a situation, but we're going to talk about that on the next Suns Latest because it's a really good topic. So moving on to the NBA season. Is it too long? The NBA regular season begins October 21st. It'll be the 80th season of the NBA. In-season NBA Cup tournament from October 31st through December 16th. I asked a few questions about the tournament, the last Suns Latest. A few comments about it. People just seem to be indifferent about it. The tournament games count as regular season games except the title game. So the two teams that make to the final championship game of the in-season tournament, so they have an 83-game regular season. I don't know. I think if it went away, nobody would miss it. I don't think it's hurting anything. I think it's smart to do that at the beginning of the season, which is exactly what it's there for. And of course, sponsorships. In the early 80s, there was a quote from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in Basketball Digest magazine. Do you remember Basketball Digest, that little chunky little thing, packed full of good NBA info? I think it was like 8x4. It was a tiny little magazine, but I read it religiously. You can get them on eBay now for $10. Really fun to just get a random one and just see what was going on in the NBA back in the day. But Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, pretty cerebral guy, quoted saying, "The NBA season is too long. It should be around 60 to 65 games." He went on to say that injuries are more common after the All-Star break, and that the playoffs would be better if everyone was healthy and at full roster strength. Can't really argue with that. I mean, you can, but why would you? It makes a lot of sense. And I'm hearing a lot of this type of talk lately. Tyrese Halliburton went down in the finals with the worst injury you can get as an NBA player, in my humble opinion, an Achilles injury, which knocks you out for a year. Dame Lillard is out for a year. Halliburton's out for a year. You rupture your Achilles, you're out for a year. So I got really upset when the injury happened, mostly for Halliburton because he was just coming out of nowhere. He got in front of people calling him overrated, his peers calling him overrated. Joke or not, that's going to motivate you or that's going to crush you. And he met it head on, and he surprised the hell out of everybody. And he led that Pacers team to within one game of the finals, and that was not supposed to happen. They weren't supposed to be there. They were supposed to be out at the second round at the latest. Halliburton took control. And I'm not saying he had the OKC Thunder trembling in their boots, but they had to change their game plan regarding him because he kept coming back and he kept beating them. And that wasn't supposed to happen, and that makes for good basketball. And he gets injured, and he can't lead his team in Game 7. And that's bad for business. I'm not saying they would have won, but a healthy Tyrese, stranger things have happened. Before 74, the playoffs were only 3 rounds. Yes, there was a whole lot less teams, but we'll just go down the road. We'll just go down this. Division semifinals, division finals, NBA finals. After 74, the playoffs were 4 rounds. First round, conference semis, conference finals, NBA finals. And the first round series was a best of 3. Think about that. The first to win 2 games, and there's a home court advantage. It's like throwing one stake in the lion pit. Teams went crazy in that 3-game series. It was really fun to watch. I remember this one so vividly in 77. 6 teams per conference got in, 12 playoff teams in total. In 84 and 77, there was a 5-game first-round series between the Suns and the Bucks. And I'm pretty sure it was Marcus Johnson's Bucks and Walter Davis' Suns. Was it 77 or 78? No, it was 77. It was the rookie years. The Bucks won it, but oh my God, it was so freaking competitive, and it was so fun to know that the first to 3 wins this series, and it was quick, and it was just so satisfying, and it happened really fast because they wanted to move on to the second round. So in 84, 8 teams got in, 16 total. First round series extended to best of 5. Made for incredible first-round playoffs. I'm sorry, I got that date wrong. That happened in the 70s. By 03, the first round was extended to a 7-game series. Jumped to 2020. Now we have the play-in. I don't hate the play-in. I think it's like an NFL wild card. Every now and then a wild card goes really far in the playoffs, and that's exciting, and that's good business, and that's good basketball. So the loser game after the play-in, it's like, I don't need that. How about just the play-in? See, it's one more game. It's just these little things that kind of poke you in the ribs and kind of bother you. Me anyway. The play-in game gets one more. Okay, yeah, expansion. You got a lot more teams. I understand there needs to be more games. Fine, but it's a lot of games. How many times have you heard that most NBA games aren't worth watching at least until after the All-Star break? Some people say the NBA isn't worth watching until 2 months out of the playoffs. I mean, it wouldn't be said if it wasn't an actual thought. So I am over injuries are part of the playoffs. I already went on my little rant about Halliburton. So load management hasn't proven much. Scientifically, it's supposed to work. Analytically, yes, it should work. Is it working? Has Kawhi Leonard brought the Clippers a title? It's Kawhi Leonard. Can't seem to stay on the court. Maybe not the best example, but I don't think it's doing anything one way or the other. Yes, extra rest can be good when needed, but not just because, well, we're just going to hold him out of this game. He's perfectly healthy. See, I don't think that works. I think if you're perfectly healthy, you play. I think if you have a nagging injury, you rest, you back off. I think the league would benefit cutting the regular season down to 70 games. Your thoughts? And by the way, every time you comment on Sun's latest, I'm there for it. And that's why we do the comment section now. But I would love to hear what you say. And thank you for your comments. I don't care if I don't care if you criticize anything we talk about here. Just don't be mean. You can be mean. I still don't care. It's nothing personal. All right. So to comments at Mark Prieger or Prager. I think it's Prieger. Quote: "This is fun. This is about I think 2 Suns latest ago. I talked about Jeff Hornacek as the Suns legend of the day." Quote from Mark: "I shot a free throw line contest against Hornacek. Best out of 10. I beat him when they used to be at the JCC. The rest of the Suns were rooting for Hornacek, and only Kevin Johnson rooted for me." KJ is the nicest guy. The entire team was there, even the Suns gorilla without his disguise, which was cool. How do you know it was the gorilla? Somebody told you, right? I met Henry the gorilla, the original gorilla, without the costume, and I had to be told that it was him. I'm assuming this didn't happen during Hornacek's 67 straight free throw streak, which I don't think he was on the Suns when that happened. That's insane. I mean, what kind of pressure? You beat Jeff Hornacek, one of the greatest free throw shooters of all time? I'm not going to say if there's no video it didn't happen, because I know back in the day nobody taped this stuff, but that's a serious feather in your cap. If you have anything that you want to mention in the comments about interaction with the Suns back in the day or recently, please let me know about it. I'll definitely talk about it. That's really cool. From Dagoon R. Praying that Colin Gillespie has a breakout season and takes the point guard spot. Takes in all caps. You got to take that kind of thing. You got to take that job. If they won't sign a point guard, we have to build one. No argument there. I just want to make sure that Gillespie gets a fair shot, and they figure out how they're going to do it with Booker and Green starting. But if they need a true point guard, Gillespie is it. Coach Ott, I think, has a shot at seeing what he can do, and I want to see Gillespie make mistakes. I don't wish him bad. I want to see what he does after he screws up. I want to see what kind of leader he is, and if he has a short memory with that type of thing. At some guy named Justin. Can't wait for JG, Jalen Green, to be what we believe Beal could be. Now that is something we can all get behind. I'm not going to say anything more about that. That is a great observation. At Major Spacer, I think you guys are going to be super surprised when you'll realize just how good JG actually is. He definitely has perennial all-star potential. There's no question Jalen Green is an all-star talent. How he fits into the Suns system, how he fits with an alpha scorer like Devin Booker, that's a whole other question. Remember, we have at least until the All-Star break to see what kind of team this is. There's going to be 1,000 lineup changes. There's going to be system changes. There's going to be issues. There's going to be positives. There's going to be breakouts. There's going to be all this type of stuff. And we're just scratching the surface with all these new players. It's going to be a minute. I hope we are patient this year. It's kind of important, I think. Thank you for your comments. There they went and gone. They went and gone. They went and gone. All right, moving on to the Suns legend of the day. Lowell Cotton Fitzsimmons has the distinction of being the only guy to coach the Suns 3 separate times. I'm not going to research it now because there's so much to talk about with Cotton. Has anybody ever coached a team 3 separate times? I want to say Del Harris did the Mavericks twice, but I can't remember. And I know that somebody has coached a team twice. Has anybody other than Cotton Fitzsimmons coached a team 3 separate times? Find out for me. Go, get on it, minions. No, I'm just kidding. I'll figure it out. From Hannibal, raised in Bowling Green, Missouri, an NBA lifer of the best kind. 2-time NBA Coach of the Year, once with the Kings, once with the Suns. Along with KJ and Tom Chambers, the main reason the Suns turned everything around in the late 80s and moved on to become a very consistently good franchise in the early 90s. Got the nickname Cotton in the 4th grade because of his hair. His father passed when he was in the 5th grade. His high school basketball coach taught him the difference between rules and principles. Coach said, rules made to be bent, sometimes even broken. Principles, something you live your life by. Live your life like that and things will get a lot easier. Cotton definitely took that advice to heart. He walked that walk for the rest of his life. 5'7", shorter than me. Not a lot of people are. No, everybody. Seriously. Cotton played hoops at Hannibal LaGrange Junior College All-American. 5'7", averaged 25 points a game. His jersey is retired by his alma mater. He led the team to the NCAA tournament. And instead, he wasn't going to go pro, and he knew that. He became an assistant coach at Kansas State under the legendary Tex Winter, who invented the triangle offense. Used to great effectiveness by the Jordan Bulls. Became the head coach at Kansas after Tex Winter left to go to Washington. In 1969, Wildcats went 20-8, capturing the Big 8 Conference Championship. Cotton named 1970 Big 8 Coach of the Year. Led his team to the Sweet 16, on to the NBA. The next year, 1970, Cotton Fitzsimmons replaces Jerry Colangelo, who's not only the GM of the Suns, but he's coaching them. Colangelo had enough of the coaching. He wanted to run the team. Colangelo calls Fitzsimmons and asks Cotton Fitzsimmons about other possible candidates, and then he just offers him the job. Cotton takes the job, leads the Suns to their first winning season. They go 48-34. Healthy business relationship and friendship developed between the two. Fitzsimmons and Colangelo agreed to let Cotton go. He goes to the Hawks 70-71, mostly to work with Pistol Pete Maravich. The Hawks front office at that time didn't know what they were doing. After the Hawks trade Maravich to the New Orleans Jazz, Cotton was fired, and he was happy about that. Knowing how smart Cotton Fitzsimmons was, he might have self-sabotaged that. Goes on to work with the Warriors with Al Attles, a consultant with the Warriors, coached the Buffalo Braves, now the LA Clippers, on to the Kansas City Kings as an assistant, then interim coach, then head coach. 6 seasons with the Kings, NBA Coach of the Year with the Kings in 79, knocks off the top-seeded Phoenix Suns in 81 with that Kings team with Scott Wedman and Sam Lacey and Otis Birdsong. And how did that happen? They weren't supposed to even it's frustrating because I remember watching that. I went to every home game of that playoff series live, and it's like, will you please run? Will you please stop playing their game? I was a little kid, and I knew exactly what was going wrong. Cotton Fitzsimmons and those Kings beat the Suns in that playoff series, and that was frustrating. Suns had a shot that year. Kings moved to Sacramento. Cotton Bales, no pun intended, coach that made the playoffs with the Spurs for a few seasons, and then comes back to Phoenix in 86. Cotton works with Colangelo in the front office, goes to the bench in 88. Here's where Cotton Fitzsimmons became the legend. And it's because of something that initially was really negative. Along with Colangelo, he spearheaded the trade to trade Larry Nance, the best and most popular player in the Suns, slam dunk champ, to the Cleveland Cavaliers, along with Mike Sanders, for Kevin Johnson, Mark West, and a draft pick that became Dan Marley. The Suns traded their best player, their most popular player, a beloved Phoenix player, for guys no one had ever heard of, and a draft pick. And there was venom and calling for the head of Cotton Fitzsimmons when that happened. Lot of criticism. And then also it was right after the 87. It was right after the 87 nasty drug scandal. Jay Humphries and Michael Holton and James Edwards and Walter Davis and Johnny High, and it was just really bad. It was a bad time to be a Suns fan. It was a bad time to be in Phoenix. It was just bad. A lot of bad things were going on that year. But in 88, the Suns won a lot of games. 55, got to the Western Conference Finals. And that is when the Suns drafted Dan Marley. And fans at the event booed the drafting of Dan Marley. And Cotton gets on the mic and he goes, "You'll be sorry you booed this young man." Yeah, he was right about that. Then he's Coach of the Year with the Suns in 89. Back to the playoffs in 90-91. In 92, became the sixth coach in NBA history to reach 800 wins. Cotton Fitzsimmons wasn't done yet, but that was a big chunk of getting the Suns back to being a respected franchise. Cotton was right there in the middle of that and took a lot of risk and a lot of chances and coached his butt off to get them back. Retired as coach in 70. Excuse me, I'm getting very excited. Slow down. Retired as coach in 92. Moved back to the front office, instrumental in another huge and difficult Suns trade. Looking back on it, a no-brainer, but traded Jeff Hornacek along with Tim Perry and Andrew Lang. Hornacek was as popular as you got. People loved Jeff Hornacek. He was an all-star. Traded him to the Philadelphia 76ers. The Suns get Charles Barkley. So Cotton Fitzsimmons, instrumental in bringing KJ, Dan Marley, and Mark West to the Suns. Instrumental in bringing Charles Barkley to the Suns. Guiding the Suns to the playoff one more time in 96 as he came back to coach the Suns. One more time. He steps down for the last time the following year. Retired as a coach, 832 wins, 775 losses. At the time, Cotton was the 8th winningest coach in NBA history. I think he's only dropped to like 10 or 11 at this point. Later diagnosed with lung cancer, Cotton Fitzsimmons passed away July 24th, 2004. The morning after his death, Arizona Republic headline at the top of the sports section read, "Brightest son, Fitzsimmons dies." Name a brighter son than Cotton Fitzsimmons as far as somebody that did right by the organization and was so loyal. Has there ever been another more loyal employee of the Phoenix Suns in their history than Cotton Fitzsimmons? He epitomizes what you want from a guy working for the Suns. Honored during the 2004-2005 season, team wore a white patch on their jersey. Cotton Fitzsimmons was 72 years old. A quote from Jerry Colangelo said, "Cotton Fitzsimmons embodied all things that are great about life and the game of basketball. His energy, passion, and upbeat approach to everything impacted those that he touched in a positive and meaningful way." And a quote from Cotton himself, "You're not going to make me have a bad day. If there's oxygen on Earth and I'm breathing, it's going to be a good day." Rest in peace, Cotton Fitzsimmons. Take that advice to heart. On May 16th, 2021, Lowell Cotton Fitzsimmons was elected to the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. If you got a Suns legend of the day you'd like me to cover, just hit me up in the comments. Thank you so much for watching Suns Latest. Thank you so much for commenting. I'm Rich Rubin. We're going to do this again tomorrow. Thanks for watching.